I'm Benjamin Charbit, and the CEO and co-founder of Darewise Entertainment, the game studio behind Life Beyond. We've been working on the project since January 2018.
Awesome. And when you are talking to new people, investors or gamers, break it down real quick, elevator pitch. How do you explain what Life Beyond is to an investor or a gamer?
Life Beyond is really it's the next generation of MMORPGs. If you think of games like World of Warcraft, and what was always amazing with these games is you start to have a first flavor of participating to a digital society, so being a citizen of this society. But the experience was a little bit limited because there was only one archetype of citizen. Everybody was a hero, and it kind of limited the type of interaction that you could have. Now, you were still experiencing this in the living and breathing world. You would walk out and you would see pedestrians and farmers and also sort of professions populating this world. Well, what if all of these professionals were actually incarnated by real humans? So still in the game world, but every individual being empowered to have a job and participate to the life of this society. Well, this is what Life Beyond is about. So you're in a game world, it's an MMO, but you don't have to be the hero. You can be the hero, but you can also be the engineer, the farmer, the mason, the architect. And because it runs on the blockchain, well, it's obviously powered with true ownership through NFTs with kind of real life value through the tokenized economy. So in a way, it's we like to say that it's the feeling of the game, but the stakes of reality.
I like that, man. I've been seeing that trend a lot. In Grand Theft Auto, you have people that now are playing in that world and living as individuals, and it creates this, everyone's real, right? Those aren't bots. Those are actually people being in that role, and it's a very interesting thing that's going on these days.
Can you talk a little bit about how, because open economy or open metaverse, and because the play to earn terminology, all that stuff's kind of changing, and obviously with the times, and maybe talk a little bit about that and how Life Beyond is kind of like this open metaverse economy concept.
It's interesting because at first, when we started joining the Web3 movement, I felt a little bit embarrassed because I was not native from this space. And now the more I think about it, the more I think it's actually one of our biggest strengths. We are Web2 natives. We're not embarrassed by that anymore. Absolutely going all in Web3 now. But what it means is that we're not play to earn at all. Not that we don't like play to earn or we think it's a bad thing, but just that this is a very different motive, a very different dynamic that we're trying to push. We are a free-to-play game, but we're a free-to-play game that has NFT and that instead of an in-game currency has an ERC20 token. To me, it's like we have the same type of dynamic of free-to-play, which is about accessibility, really empowering people who want to who play, and build up wealth in the game world by just their playtime. But because of NFTs and tokens in general, first, all of this investment can be turned into a value. All of this investment can be turned into whatever you want. And so you have the choice as an individual, rather than having the publisher telling you what you're allowed to do or not. This is your property, so you can do whatever you want. And because of all this, and because of the economics brought by the Web3 business model operations, we don't have to be leveraging behavioral economics nonstop to get people to pay, which is where I was always troubled, in the past when I was working as a game designer in the traditional game industry, where we were power creeping nonstop. Eventually you would get rid of your asset, you would buy new assets because of course we needed you to keep spending money. In a Web3 economy, I don't need you to buy stuff from me. What I care about is if you interact with other players, because if you guys run the economy and perform transaction and do stuff together, we of course earn revenue through that. So it becomes a very, very valuable model. And everybody is very much aligned, and it's much healthier, I think.
Well said, man. I agree. And this is something I'm very curious on with this time right now in the space. It sounds like you've worked in traditional gaming. What are your thoughts right now with the play to earn space and the Axie economy kind of falling flat, and just the timeline of where are we in this relationship to blockchain gaming and traditional gaming, and what does it look like in the future?
It's easy to throw tomatoes at Sky Mavis. I think what they've done is remarkable. How they've paved the way for this. They managed to, in a country where people did not even have bank accounts, they managed to give them a wallet, to get them to have a wallet and be part of a form of a financial system, even though it was a decentralized system. I have a lot of faith. I'm sure these guys figure out how to build something more sustainable. It's still very early, and so of course we're all learning. Every time I meet someone who tells me he's an expert in Web3 and tokenomics and NFT, I kind of laugh, because I think it's hard to call yourself an expert in this. It's so early. So I'm very confident. I'm also thinking that the bear market is, in a way, an opportunity, because of where I'm very comfortable, and I'm part of an amazing group now, Animoca Brands, who also share very much this identity, this set of value of being very realistic, very humble about it. There has been a lot of scam, there has been a lot of Ponzinomics and stuff like that, and so the bar market kind of cleans up the whole thing. So it's good because it's obviously a good time to build, to focus on what you're on the long term, on building sustainable things. And so it's also an opportunity for high quality projects to thrive and to kind of stand out. I'm extremely excited, extremely optimistic. I was in New York last week for NFT NYC, and that was insane. That's how I would summarize it. Insane, and I came back so energized. So definitely confident in what's coming up.
I love how you describe all this stuff, man. This is and it's perfect into what I'm just kind of saying this. I don't know if it'll make, like, maybe it'll start something here, but Yacht has this whole open economy, at Animoca. It's like you guys are almost like I don't know, how are you positioned at Animoca? It seems like you're like the perfect fit for their vision and Yacht's vision of the open metaverse and property ownership and stuff like that.
It's very interesting because when you look at the journey of Darewise, we were absolutely not trying to join a big organization. We were not looking to sell the company. We were very happy to be independent. But what happened was that we actually got introduced by a great guy who you obviously know, Sebastien Bourget from the Sandbox, who really told us, wow, such a great cultural fit with what Animoca is doing and what we're doing at Sandbox. And it was genuinely true. We felt so close from a cultural standpoint. And I started to read what Yad had published in the past. And I remember, even though we had been introduced and I was supposed to have a meeting with him a few days after, I messaged him right after reading all of this and being like, wow, I'm just blown away by what I read. To be honest, I was not super educated about Animoca and who Yat was before. And I was like, this is, I felt a little bit like he was saying things at a different level on things that I had been trying to pitch earlier to investors and the ecosystem. We started pitching the Metaverse in 2017 at Darewise, and people were laughing at us. What we were trying to explain through that was, and we didn't get the same level of maturity that he has in terms of the open Metaverse, but what we believed very much was empowering people in terms of value creation, in terms of considering games as nations, and starting thinking that people will have a very, very meaningful existence in these online worlds, and to give them the means to do that, the means to have a real social economic existence. So it was indeed, when we met with them, it actually went really fast, and we made this decision to kind of give in our independence, but and join them. But we also felt that we would just be stronger. To be honest, it was a very kind of also emotional decision that we just wanted to write this together.
That's awesome. Everything we work with a lot of the Animoca folks over there, and know a lot of the other games and projects that are invested with them, or and they say the same exact thing. So you would be when I was working at Ubisoft, I was working with other companies in the past. It's very interesting to see how the cultural fit is such a driver in Animoca's decision process. And we keep talking about it. And also, sometimes we share that publicly because we kind of speak together, in some Twitter spaces or podcasts, and we kind of share our experience. And we really talk a lot about this. Web3 for me is not really about technology. Web3 is more an ideology. The technology is one thing, but there's definitely a bigger blend of
values, opportunities, disruption that's been attracting me so hard. And so it's interesting because it's pretty consistent with how they think, how they operate. It's not just about a business, it's bigger than that. That's another great benefit, by the way, of Web3 economies. You can totally build a very viable experience, product, business without needing constantly to have hundreds of millions of players. And coming from the free-to-play world, you have no idea how this is exhilarating to think about that. I come from a world where you would spend your life acquiring millions of players who would all churn, and just to have a tiny group who would be spending money. And that's how your game could sustain. Of course, it's very different. And so for us, it's also a very strong part of our DNA today that we want to have a very committed and engaged community. So we're not obsessed with KPIs and numbers. We know that we're developing something that can be very appealing, and this is really our obsession.
Dude, I love it. I love the transparency and how you're doing things, man. And you're giving me so many ideas. Like, there's such a service now needed for bot cleaning, like of databases and whitelists and discords and all that.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, it's wild. It's wild, and the space is what it is. It's full of opportunity, but you have to be comfortable with the fact that everything. Most things are half-baked, and it's okay. So if you expect very stable and accomplished technologies, you're going to be disappointed all the time. You have to figure out things yourself. You can't be really looking for a playbook. The market is changing all the time. The expectations, now it's a bear market. So what you thought would be working 3 months ago, absolutely do not work anymore. So it's great for experimentation. I love Robbie Young, the CEO of Animoca, always saying is, keep your head cold. Like, it's only 2-3 million crypto players right now. No need to brag, no need to think that we've all made it. It's we still have a lot to do, and let's focus on building. Let's focus on building quality. This is another very important point for us, which is we want to build just a really awesome game, and we want people to come and play it just because it's great, and not because it has NFTs. So regardless of that, we're not trying to turn off people who are just interested in participating to these economies in a different fashion without having to play actively, because I love being like, I'm on Discord of a lot of games, but I don't really get to play them because I run a company, I have 2 kids, they're young, it takes a lot of my time, and so I have a hard time really committing in the 3D software, but still I want to be part of it. It's a very interesting space, a lot of opportunity, but there is this reality that it's not always going to be an easy ride in a smooth journey. But that's what I like about it.
Man, good stuff, man. We both were like, I could see our cameras when you swore. We're like, yes, yeah, he's passionate about it. And
well, that's what the space needs too, right?
Exactly.
Fun and a damn good game. I think, Benjamin, anything from your side that we missed that you want to get out?
Something that we love about Web3 is building with other people. And for us, it's like the guys from Phantom Galaxy, from the Sandbox, and we're definitely going to have a presence in all that. But there are so many other communities that we want to reach out there because of either how their community is, and we just want to interact with them. We own a Bored Ape, for instance, and we're definitely going to strengthen our relationship with Yuga in the future. There is a World of Women, love what they're doing. I want to make sure that we do whatever we can to empower women in the gaming world, also as players and as creators, but also as players. So what is really interesting is that we can genuinely collaborate, and have and never be kind of defensive about our own space. And that is what, again, kind of echoes to this open metaverse thesis of, to me, Life Beyond is just one destination where you will be traveling, and kind of navigating between all of these layers from one to the other, and we'll be super happy to have people here. So this is really why it's so interesting to have an alpha now, because we can collect this feedback. I can't wait to keep talking with you guys and with the people on Discord and players on every social media to get this feedback. Learn how we can do things better, and obviously start empowering the community first. Of course, it's we're on the blockchain, so everybody can start building things in a permissionless way. But we're also going to eventually start opening more of the game source, the source code, so that we can have modding happening and people starting to really build like in-game content. So much more to come, and but again, with one, I think, key pillar, which is together. So let's do it together.